the madness of nurse twins. In a small town hidden among forests and fields stood an old hospital. Its dark corridors concealed not only the sick, but also nightmares that people preferred not to speak of. It was said that two nurses, twin sisters, worked there with such care and attention that no one suspected the terrible secret they kept. Their names were Elizabeth and Victoria. In their childhood, they suffered a horrible tragedy. Their parents died in a fire. Flames consumed their home, leaving the girls orphaned. After the accident, they were sent to an orphanage, where they grew up in cold isolation. The bond between the twins was unusually strong. They could understand each other without words, and this connection became their only solace in a world full of pain. As they grew older, the sisters decided to dedicate themselves to the medical profession. When they got a job at the hospital, they appeared to be perfect nurses, caring, sweet, always ready to help. But no one knew that during the night their minds were consumed by darkness. The loss of their parents left a wound that grew deeper with each passing day. It was all because of the dreams. Elizabeth and Victoria began having the same eerie visions, charred shadows lurking in corners, whispers echoing from the darkness. Gradually, they started to believe that their parents hadn't just died, but had been taken by a demonic force, one that was waiting to claim them as well. Night after night, the twins sank deeper into madness. At first, it was small oddities. They would stand for hours in front of the mirror, staring into each other's eyes, sometimes speaking in unison, as if they were one being. But soon, it escalated into something far more sinister. Patients in their care began to die. One of the first incidents involved an elderly patient, Mr. Harper, who was being treated for a chronic heart condition. One night, he was found dead in his bed. The doctors attributed it to natural causes, given the man's poor health. But rumors started to spread among the hospital staff. Some nurses claimed they had heard strange sounds from Mr. Harper's room the night he died, muffled laughter and footsteps that faded away near the door. Elizabeth and Victoria continued working, their faces coldly expressionless, their behavior impeccable. But with each passing day, the darkness inside them grew. They increasingly talked about a duty they needed to fulfill, about salvation through suffering. One day, when their senior colleague, Dr. Bennett, noticed the twins lingering by a patient's bed late at night, he dared to question them. "What are you doing here at this hour?" he asked, suspicious. "We're helping," they replied in unison, without breaking eye contact. Their gaze was icy, as if they could see right through him. Dr. Bennett felt an uneasy tension and quickly left, but soon after he was found dead in his office. The cause of death was unknown, and no one noticed the twins quietly slipping away from the hospital that night. After Dr. Bennett's death, events began to unfold at a terrifying pace. The number of deaths among patients increased, and all occurred during Elizabeth and Victoria's night shifts. One day, Nurse Jennifer, a colleague, decided to secretly watch the twins, sensing that something was wrong. She overheard them talking in an empty ward. "Tonight, we will send her there to Mother and Father," Elizabeth whispered, running her hand over the head of an old woman lying in the bed. "Her soul will be saved," Victoria responded. "Everything must happen as foretold." Jennifer couldn't believe her ears. She rushed to report what she had heard to the hospital administration, but no one believed her. Who would believe such a thing? Yet a few days later, Jennifer disappeared. The last time she was seen was in one of the darkened wards where the twins were on duty that night. The rumors spread, but no one could prove that Elizabeth and Victoria were responsible for the deaths. They were always in plain sight, always calm and polite. No one could link them to the horrifying events, but fear crept among the staff. A grim silence blanketed the hospital, as if something unseen stood within its walls, watching everyone. One night, Tom, a nurse working the night shift, stumbled upon a strange scene. He saw the twins standing by the window in one of the wards, faces turned toward the full moon. They were whispering in a language he couldn't understand, their eyes closed and their hands raised to the sky. "What are you doing?" Tom asked, feeling a chill run down his spine. They didn't respond, only turned to him, and in that moment he realized he wasn't looking at human beings. In their eyes burned some ancient, inhuman rage, and their smiles were more like masks. "We are saving them," they whispered in unison. "We are giving them peace." From that day, Tom was never seen again. The hospital began to empty. Patients and staff gradually left, leaving Elizabeth and Victoria alone in the darkened halls. But no one dared to even speak their names aloud. It was said that the twins had completely lost their minds, that their souls had been consumed by darkness and cursed. Some claimed to have seen their shadows at night, gliding down the corridors, whispering to each other about the Great Cleansing. The final blow came when the town authorities decided to close the hospital. But when they arrived to collect the remaining items, Elizabeth and Victoria were nowhere to be found. Their disappearance was as mysterious as their madness. However, rumors persisted among the staff that the twins were still there, hiding within the old walls, or worse, had become part of something much darker. The hospital was abandoned, but stories of strange sounds and the ghosts of the nurses still haunt those who dare to pass by its crumbling walls. People are convinced that Elizabeth and Victoria never left. They are waiting for those who will once again step into their world of fear and pain.